Hi, my name's Ro. I was the organiser of the Celebrating Trans and Gender Diverse Victorians rally, which was held at Parliament House on the 14th of July.
What is the gathering for?
The gathering was all about, number one, celebrating trans people, because we got a bit of a bad rap in the media and around the trap. So number one, that was the big focus. Let's gather and celebrate together. But also we gathered whilst in celebration to support the legislation to change the Births, Deaths and Marriages Act in Victoria that's currently before Parliament, which will enable trans and gender diverse people to have an accurate gender marker on their birth certificate without needing to undergo a requirement of having surgery. Victoria was actually a progressive state in this space and did try to pass this legislation in 2016. Unfortunately, it failed in the second House of Parliament, in the upper house, by one vote. And so a decision was made by the Victorian Government not to reintroduce that legislation until they felt they had a better chance of passing it, which they now do after the 2018 election. Yeah, so if the law passes, for people that are trans and gender diverse, they'll be able to make an amendment to their birth certificate to record their gender as the gender that they identify with, rather than what their birth sex is. So this will mean for what we call binary trans people that they'll be able to have an M or an F that matches their identity. For non-binary genderqueer folk, they'll be able to have put in their own descriptor for their gender. So the legislation says that you'll be able to have a male, female or another marker, of which it's a self-entered marker. So it's not a pick from a list, it's like a free text box on a form that you fill in for yourself.
Why New South Wales, Queensland and Victoria so behind this?
Yeah, I think it's easy to think Victoria is behind in this space. They've actually been progressive, but they've taken a tactical decision about when to introduce that, which has not been great for our community, but it is what it is. For Queensland and New South Wales particularly, I think the political climate is much more conservative. I mean, we saw the result of that, particularly in Queensland at the federal election. And so there's the New South Wales Labor opposition has been on record as not being supportive of state schools. So I think it's really around the political climate in New South Wales and Queensland. In Victoria, it's been more around timing it for the best chance of success.
What else can we do to help?
Yeah, there's a couple of things we can do. The first thing is post about this on your social media, be positive about it. But second, and perhaps the most effective method of action that you can take, is to find your local member, get their address, look it up online, and write to your local members and say, please support this legislation, and tell them why it's important. It's important that trans and gender diverse Victorians have the right to have identity documents that match their identity.
Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think we mentioned New South Wales and Queensland, and I think Victoria has a high chance of success by the sound of things, and so we hope that in a couple of months we'll be celebrating that, not just ourselves, but we'll be celebrating the success of this legislation. But I would call upon us as trans and gender diverse Victorians and trans and gender diverse around the country to start advocating and activating around New South Wales and Queensland, and let's not leave our Queensland and New South Welsh siblings behind on this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.